All right, let's take a look now at our coronavirus update. Where are we on coronavirus today? Well, total for confirmed cases worldwide, 138,000. That's up almost 10,000 from yesterday. The Western deaths now the Western numbers are starting to get into hyperdrive. We're now starting at the beginning of that curve that is almost straight line up. Total confirmed deaths worldwide is up about 400 people yesterday. Not bad. Total confirmed recoveries worldwide is up 2,000 from yesterday at this time. 132 countries have now confirmed cases, up from 125. 4 more now have suspected cases. 9% of active cases are considered serious. This is the best news about it, and you're not hearing anything about this. 2 weeks ago, it was at 19%. Now, that is confirmed cases that are considered serious, requiring some sort of hospitalization. 2 weeks ago, 19%. Today, it is 9%. That's great news, and only 3% of the patients are requiring ICU. The U.S. now has almost 1,800 confirmed cases, 41 deaths. That is up about 500 cases, 38 confirmed deaths yesterday. In the U.S., only Alabama, Alaska, West Virginia, and Maine don't have at least one case. We're now closing schools in at least 6 states. I think this is, if you are one of the school administrators and you are meeting, the smartest thing you can do right now is just say, you know what, kids, you're coming back from vacation, spring vacation, spring break, take another week.
That's what our kids' school has just done today.
Take another week?
Another week.
I think it's really, really smart. It's going to be hard on parents for multiple reasons. I mean, do you want to spend the day with your kids? If we are all locked up, do you know how many kids are going to die? Not from coronavirus, just
the old Homer Simpson, Bart Simpson strangle.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Schools closed now in at least 6 states. All public schools in Ohio, Michigan, Maryland, Kentucky, and New Mexico were told to close beginning next week. Schools in Washington, California, and New York may join in by Monday. The proposed length of closures range from 1 week to 4 weeks. Some schools shifting to at-home reading plans, others offering partial lessons via live video conference or recorded video lectures. The top Ohio official estimate now says at least 1% of Ohio's population is infected with SARS COVID-19. The exact statement is we've had 11 million people here in the state. We are a state of 11 million people, so the math is now over 100,000 that have this. This according to the Ohio Department of Health Director, Dr. Amy Acton. The rate on spread and fatality prompted her to recommend closing all schools in Ohio by today. She said that gives you some sense of how this virus spreads and is spreading so quickly. The virus is already in your neighborhood. The virus is already, with someone you know. We are way, way behind, and that's because symptoms don't show up. Now, the closings are Fast and Furious 9, been pushed back. College has canceled almost all throughout the country.
Can we go back for a second? I'm worried about the Fast and Furious 9 thing.
Me too.
Because usually they come out like every 3 months. So that means 9 would be pushed like behind 12. You'd see like it would be like 8, then 10, 11, 12, 9.
You don't understand 10 and 12? If you didn't see 9. Broadway has closed. Broadway is closed. All schools in France are closed. Live Nation calls for a postponement of all large-scale music events.
Just listen to this.
Listen to this. Universal Studios closed all theme parks. Disney closed all theme parks. Anybody who says this is just a conspiracy, everybody's overreacting. No one closes Walt Disney World. No one closes Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Tokyo, Paris, No one closes that.
Let's just light billions of dollars on fire to make a point 8 months before an election.
Yeah,
it makes no sense.
It makes no sense. It makes zero sense. And also, no one is pressuring these gigantic companies to do that. No official is leaning on Disney. I mean, if anything, Disney leans on officials.
Well, there was a report that happened in California, but I would not be surprised.
No. I mean, worldwide, the global Disney chain. You might say there's an outbreak in Anaheim or whatever in California, and they're like, hey, close the park. It's not good to have all these people traveling in. And Disneyland, but not Disneyland, Disney World, Disney Tokyo, Disney France. You don't do that.
And I think I do think the administration is probably making clear what their preference is. But it's not just this administration, right? Like countries are closing down. Italy, India,
Right.
India. I mean, India quarantined itself off from the rest of the world. It's one of the largest economies on earth.
This is the biggest problem here, is that people think you're overreacting. And when we get to the end of this, hopefully it will appear as though this was a massive overreaction. Because the idea of keeping everyone at home and closing these things is so that it doesn't become this huge thing. So if we're successful, everyone will say, look, Donald Trump overreacted, or you overreacted, or whatever. This is one we want to be wrong about. And the way to prove us wrong is to stay home, but not be crazy about it. All right, let me go back to our coronavirus update. So those are the numbers. That's what's actually being closed all around the world and elsewhere. The director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases appeared Thursday to downplay the hype surrounding a congressional doctor's estimate. A congressional doctor came out and said about 70 million to 150 million coronavirus cases could happen in the next year here in the United States. Well, the director of the National Institute said, okay, well, that's based on a model. And I'd love him to give this lecture to all the computer modeling scientists for the weather trends and the climate over the next 100 years. He's like, that's based on a model, and those things can change and be wrong quickly. Let's not freak out. Let's just remember that it could be. Satellite images today appear to show mass graves in Iran, where they have thousands of COVID-19 victims. And a man in Italy is on YouTube and Facebook. He is distraught and just doesn't know what to do. He says, I have my sister in bed now. She's dead, and I don't know what to do. Please, someone help me. I can't give her the honor she deserves because there are no institutions that will now take her body at this point. I've contacted everybody, but no one will give me an answer. What do I do? Italy's case fatality rate is still over 8% of all confirmed cases. Apple has now reopened all of its stores in China. Perhaps it's an indication of this too shall pass, and it will. Just be smart. I believe people are starting to understand. This doesn't mean that we are all going to die, because we're not. What we have to worry about and police our own selves is don't spread it to other people. Try not to get it by being around other people. Do all the things the CDC tells you to do. What we're worried about is the overwhelming of the healthcare system. We don't have enough beds if people get sick and have to go to the hospital. People are not going to find this pleasant if you are put on a cot in the middle of a gym or in some, Astrodome kind of situation like we had after Katrina. People are not going to like that in America. And that's what it's going to be. Not major death, but just a major disruption to our healthcare system. And it's not going to go well.